Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Jay Slater case. And chosen background of the day, a stuffed toy. In Espanol, un peluche, teddy bear in this case, if I move my big fat head out of the way. And I just did a community post featuring this teddy bear and the Policía Nacional logo because kindly forwarded to me from man on the ground in Tenerife, Noah. Um, I mean, this isn't actually directly related to the Jay Slater case, but in the post it explains how the latest seizure at Tenerife Norte Airport was a load of what's called tusi, pink cocaina, stuffed inside this little fella here. And I made a light-hearted comment in my community post about how all of us that assume that the likes of a little Lyre Ivor from West Wales goes traveling around with his super absorbent nappies or diapers. At the moment, he has to hand over his passport, and his traveling companion must surely be something like this. Yeah, we did speculate that it could well be the wizard from West Wales himself that had been caught, but no. Turned out that this little fella, stuffed with narco substances, was actually sent in a package, not traveling in the arms of El Slugtardo. And the guy that went to pick up the package was arrested. But anyway, be that as it may, I'm just explaining why I've chosen that as the background. It is a community post. Check it out today. I've done 2 or 3 community posts today that I think are worth looking at. The point of this video is to give thanks. I haven't done that for quite some time. And it was something that, first of all, Vic said, our big contributor Vic, and also, well, kind of big contributor, Kaz Alice also said that made me think it is time to give thanks for the community that we have here. Let us turn, first of all, to Vic. And Vic said, and these words, I don't know, they kind of touched my heart. It provoked me to think about how fortunate we are to have the community we have. Because Vic said, it's difficult to understand why we, that is our community, why we should be silenced for having suspicions, an interest, or even thoughts. That isn't our problem, it is theirs. And boy, Vic, did you nail nail that on the head with that comment there? I mean, it is so true that when we're talking about the AG, the FBG, the group, our community, that our thoughts are that we are pretty convinced there is criminality, um, there is foul play in the background of the Jay Slater case, either at the beginning or in the middle or at the end or throughout. And why should we be silenced in any way or for any reason from expressing those doubts and pointing the finger at those we think are involved? That is our right. Let me read it through once again. It's difficult to understand why we should be silenced for having suspicions, an interest, or even thoughts. That isn't our problem. It is theirs. And let me be brutally honest with this and take Vic's thought to the ultimate extreme. I would say, in the case of Debbie Duncan and the Duncan Slater family, if they feel, as a grieving family, as a grieving mother, that they are being targeted in some way, I would say that Vic is even right there, that that isn't our problem. It really isn't. Because there are grieving families across the world aplenty, in their millions as we speak. And they are not targeted in any way. So the question comes down to why are there 1 or 2 that could possibly be targeted? If the reason for them being targeted, and I would say that's not the right word, I would say if the reason for them being put under the spotlight, it's nothing to do with the grieving, it's to do with why these grieving families, have created a situation where so many people would say this doesn't feel right. It is their problem. It's not mine at all. And I think this is where Jay's Law and its total failure, yes, accident group, Ivor in particular, total failure. It was an absurdly low number of signatures for an internationally known case. Andy Burnham is not doing anything with the proposal of Jay's Law. It is dead and buried. And that is why Debbie Duncan has disappeared from the whole media circus thing. It's over. But the reason it failed so appallingly, I think, is because by and large the public knows that this grieving family in particular are not just a grieving family. They are a family that's hiding one hell of a lot of stuff in the background that would explain exactly what happened to Jay. And that is why, getting back to Vic's statement, we should not be silenced for having suspicions. We should not be silenced for having an interest. We should not be silenced for having these thoughts. That is not our problem. This is why the AG, the accident group, Luggy in particular, has meltdown after meltdown after meltdown, post after post after post after post, line after line after line after line, hand wringing after hang wringing after hang wringing. In Janie's case, trip after trip after trip after trip to the local police station to whine about something that is not our problem. It is very much their problem. And I think all the tears on the accident group side are because in their heart, they know that. The problem isn't this side. The problem is with the side that have no means of fighting what is a basic human right. The right to be suspicious, the right to free thought, the right to free expression, and the right to write what we want to do and what we want to say. That, I think, going back to Vic, because to me, Vic is short for victory, is why on so many fronts we have won this. I'm going to say it one more time. The only reason the accident group cannot put forward anyone to debate these issues in a free-form way, unedited, is because all they have is lies, bluster, and insults. They can no longer challenge any individual point. They can only write about it and then hide. It's a terrible loss. It's even got to the point where forget the debate. Just have one person with a voice expressing why this must have been an accident. The Jay Slater death must have been an accident. There is not one person on their side that can even do that. We often get this, why would I want to debate you? Yeah, you're a horrible person. You're a nasty person. Yeah, why would I want to debate you? I don't know. Maybe just to prove me wrong. Okay, let's take the debate out of it. Why don't you just broadcast with your voice so we can hear your heartfelt emotion? Describe how this must be. No, can't even do that. It's even got to the point where not one of them can put their face on a camera. That's how bad their loss is. Not one of them can do it. It got to the point where Janie 180 even said, I can't put my face in a picture because I'll be mocked. Oh dear. Well, fancy that. A little bit of mocking, and the adult in the room can't take it. But I said this was about giving thanks. And I want to give thanks to a lot of people for this victory. First of all, let me give thanks to the people that I'm about to forget to mention in my Thanksgiving list. If I fail to mention you and you've been a key element or even a bit player in this victory, then I thank you. So maybe I can cover it by saying thanks to this whole community. It is a wonderful community. I think one of our victories has been establishing a community, and there's a certain overlapping of communities. If we're talking about Marvin's community, Wax's community, Jan's community, my community, yeah, a certain number of players are there, but some, prefer one particular channel. I'm talking about the whole big community, those that believe there was criminality in Jay Slater's case and there has been no justice in this case. That very broad community, let me thank all of you for sticking with what has been a fairly difficult journey given the horrendous bullying, threats, and intimidation that came from the other side. Thank you for your endurance, the community as a whole. And what a great community it is. You know, half the time, my particular platform is used just to, for community members to say, hi, how are you? How are you doing? Is everything okay? It goes way beyond now the Jay Slater case. It is a group of people, bizarrely, don't know each other. They just recognize each other online, but they're concerned for each other. And it's a wonderful thing to see. Um, this community in general, here's a bit of a weird thanks I want to give. I want to thank TikTok because it's clear to me, even though a lot of you aren't TikTok fans, and I'm not, I got to say, but it's clear to me that what you express and what you write and what you put out there on TikTok, TikTok seems to have a fairly high acceptance level of what can be posted compared to YouTube. And, every time my channel is removed, there's always TikTok there that don't even, give any kind of warning. They're like, you keep going, Duncan. You're doing fine. Everything's fine. So thank you, TikTok, for being that platform that I would say sees sense generally in what is permitted to be put out there and what isn't. I'd also like to give thanks to those other YouTube channels that have always been right there in case there's a channel removal. I don't want you to think that my channel's about to be taken down, but I do know that, the likes of Kaz Alice and 101, well, there's not 100 of them, the other members of the AG are always posting privacy concerns. They're always contacting YouTube in the hope that my channel will go down. And it may well do. It can only survive so much pressure. But I'm just saying, if and when that happens again, special thanks to On the Go, a channel that said, hey, if you're not around, I'm on YouTube. I can take your TikTok videos, I can put them on my channel, and you still have that presence. On the Go. Tulip Amsterdam did the same thing. And now that he's back in the world of the living, Phil from Philly, one of the first things he said when he came out of his coma was, you can always use my channel. In fact, you can use my wife's channel. You can use the 10 channels I'll create for you. You can come to Philly. You can live in USA and broadcast from my basement. You can, Phil was like, we must do all in our power to make sure every single message gets out there and is heard by as wide a community as possible. So, yes, special thanks to you, Phil. I don't think I'm on my way to Pennsylvania, but hey, good to know that you are prepared, sir, to do whatever it takes to keep the message alive that we will not succumb to the evil forces, I would submit, that want to shut us up. It's that moment I'm Spartacus in the film Spartacus, when they're trying to identify who is Spartacus. And all of these poor defeated slaves, the slave armies in front of them. And one person stands up, a very dramatic moment, says, I'm Spartacus. And of course, they think they've identified who Spartacus is, but a second person stands up and says, I'm Spartacus. A third person, a fourth person, I'm Spartacus. It's a bit like that in our community. I think if the channel gets removed, whether it's On the Go, Tulip Amsterdam, Phil from Philly, whoever it is, people start standing up and saying, I'm Duncan Smith. I'm Duncan Smith. I am Duncan Smith. So for the likes of Kaz that think that, channel removal is some kind of victory, it isn't. It actually works the other way. We have a ripple effect where so many other people are then Duncan Smith. I don't know. I don't like analogies with cockroaches, but if you get rid of one roach and you see 10 the next day, it kind of tells you it didn't really work. Get rid of one channel. Oh, there's 10 more now showing the same stuff. How is that a victory, Kaz? I don't really get it. I guess it's a victory for those that think that a channel removal is some kind of way of diminishing viewing numbers and comments, but it isn't. The viewing numbers and the comments just get transferred to other channels. And eventually the whole new Duncan channel pops up. So it is a futile effort, Kaz. But, sweet to know that you love to keep mentioning your privacy concerns to YouTube. Whatever. If that or a bottle of wine is what you cherish in life, go for it. I would also like to thank the whole Team Smith family in general. We have so many of them. Which ones are related? Which ones are family members? Which ones are just Smith by name, but not necessarily connected to me? Angela Smith in New Zealand for keeping the Southern Hemisphere alive and well and on target with all of our discussions and commentaries and medal winning adventures. Yes, a bit of fun and games. Angela Smith, thank you. Kenny Smith, Kay Smith, Jay Smith, Mark Smith, still alive and well. And special mention to Mark Smith for helping me, as always, with the technology, along with Philly, of course, because that is not my strong point. But of course, at this point, we have to mention the biggest Smith that is the biggest support, Mrs. Smith, for always putting up with me saying, sorry, I've got to, read this through, or I've got to make this video, or I've got to do that. Very patient, understanding, to the ultimate degree. I mean, I've always told you that we are a nomadic couple. There aren't many spouses who, if you said, you know, we're off to Vanuatu. I mean, I think most spouses would like question that. Not Mrs. Smith. I think she would say, "How long do I have to pack?" And then during the journey, say, "So what's the big idea?" She might say, "Could we go via Fiji?" Because last time we were there, the person that did my hair did a really good job. I'm very, very flexible with things like that. Yes, let's go via Fiji. But Vanuatu, we are going to make this channel work from abroad. Um, so yeah, TikTok and all the family, all the Smiths. YouTube, I want to thank YouTube as well, because we've got to remember that it was only through intervention from the Daily Mirror that my last channel was removed. YouTube were fine with it. Debbie got all upset. Contact the Mirror. The Mirror, pulling strings. If you want a great example of corruption in mainstream media, here's the Mirror pulling strings, because Debbie said, I keep going to the police station. This guy's still out there. Mirror's going, oh, right, yeah, yeah, we know someone at YouTube and Google. We know someone in YouTube and Google over in Dublin in Ireland. I wonder who that could be. Yeah, let us pull a few strings. Yeah, it doesn't matter about community guidelines and terms and conditions. If this Duncan guy's bothering you, Debbie, the rules don't matter. We just make it happen. And that was the reality. The Mirror admitted to that. Luggy reveled in it. Yeah, Luggy loves a little bit of corruption, doesn't he? Here's El Slugtardo, the man that, what did he say, with a crate of whiskey or something, he managed to effectively buy his way to the second level of qualification needed to be a rig supervisor. So, corruption and gifts and string pulling is all part of their world. They loved it. But special thanks to YouTube for then effectively restoring the channel, and allowing me to have the 2 or 3 backups that I have there. Okay, YouTube. Yeah, well done. And then we have the other content creators. Special thanks to Jan, to Wax, to Marvin, to others. Every single one of them, if there is a channel removal, they quickly spread the word of where I can be found again. I've never had anything but support from those guys, in the sense that we might disagree on certain points of interpretation in the Jay Slater case, but never to the point where one was going to say, I don't really care if Duncan's around. Every one of them, as far as I've been concerned, um, yeah, they're just like, we need you. We need you. So, yeah, thanks to those other content creators. Special thanks to Noah, my not only my man in Tenerife, my eyes on the ground, my ears on the ground. Um, Poor Noah often gets ignored. Noah might send me something like this, and I'll read it, and I won't even answer. I'm like, okay, that might work into some video one day, but yeah. So special thanks, Noah, for sending me stuff and knowing that sometimes I don't respond, but do know, Noah, that everything you send me is considered, and I know, and I think our community knows, if anything in the news in Tenerife happens that could have any connection to Jay Slater, or the background to the Jay Slater, or the repercussions of the Jay Slater case, I know that Noah is the one that will pick up on it. That radar that Noah has is not going to miss it. And I appreciate that. Noah. I don't even have to look at news from Tenerife. It's handled. It's handled effectively 24/7, and I appreciate that. Special thanks, of course, to Dr. David, who, I mean, has a skill that so few people have, whether it's through his, his persistence with legal challenges, his questioning of attorney generals, whatever it is. Dr. David has a determination and a dogged manner that is to be applauded. And Dr. David is one of those, he knows, like I do, that 9/10 of what you do is work, it's hard work, it's graft. You got to get it right. And the chances are it leads nowhere. Yeah, we know that. But Dr. David is one of those that if the 10th attempt to get an answer is how it goes, then it's all worth it. And Dr. David's been through that. I mean, Lancashire Constabulary and God knows who, just to find out what is on record, the Jay Slater case. And it's hard work. And I realize that. The other reason we need to give special thanks to Dr. David is he is very concerned whenever he thinks I might be giving out some kind of signal as to my location. Things that I don't even think about, Dr. David will pick up on. And we do have a different view on this. But again, Dr. David, every time you mention something that I've missed, I appreciate it. I mean, the other day, Dr. David was saying, be careful, be careful. In the background, I can see what looks like a fold down bed. It's got like the little thing that secures it. And, someone very determined to could find out what kind of bed that is and where it's made. And yeah, he's right. He's right. Dr. David is like plain white background. And I think for Dr. David, a victory, we're talking about victories, a victory for someone like Dr. David is if it's plain white background, no one has a bloody clue where I am. And that's a victory. I get that. I get that. I am, I'll say it again, a bit of a risk taker, a bit of a chancer. And my idea of victory is I might drop the clue about the fold down bed. And I might be interested to see if someone's going to get a good idea where my location is based on the background. And my idea of victory is when they've located that and when they show up and when they knock on the door and the neighbor says, oh, he left for Vanuatu 2 weeks ago. That is my idea of victory, a kind of, cruel victory. But yeah, it's a risk. But I do like playing with the notion of what really is a victory in this. But getting back to the thank you list, Dr. David, I've got to thank you for your attention to detail, your very critical eye. And if it weren't for you, I'm sure I would have got into a whole lot more trouble than I have. I've got to thank the anonymous ones. People don't realize that if I'm sifting through or filtering through messages and stuff, it's actually been filtered ahead of me. So the anonymous ones are in touch with me, direct messages, emailing, and it's my anonymous ones, these people that are 24/7 actually, going through their archives. I might say, do you remember that screenshot you have of so and so, and it shows this? And they're like, yeah, I mean, I've got it somewhere. And all of the hours that go into finding that and seeing what it does show us, again, it goes unnoticed. I know this is just a put on the headphones, turn on the camera, speak for 30 minutes, and that's it. How easy is it? But like I say, the things that I focus on are very much based on what the anonymous ones have got stored, saved, archived. They can find it, they can get it to me, and they keep sending me stuff. Again, same with Noah. If I don't respond to you anonymous ones, it's for a good reason. So I'm working in some other direction, but I always appreciate it. I think I will leave it there. As I say, I'm sure to have missed someone of great importance, and I will try to mention you another time. But for now, I will repeat for our community the very fact that our opponents in this Jay Slater case, those that are 100% sure that what happened to Jay could only have been an accident from day one to the day he was found dead, they are very much the losers in this. You can tell from the way, for example, they have to keep recycling the very little bit of what they think is damaging evidence against any of us. It's just for the last 2 years. Oh, the hot babe thing. Oh, he plied someone, for this reason. That is a victory. Because if that's it, the recycling, which I will debunk in my own good time, I took months to go ahead and debunk the whole stupid thing about, oh, he's fired, he's penniless, he can't get a job. I take my time, I have fun with it, I debunk it in my own good time, I will debunk everything. But the very fact that this has to be recycled over and over again, there's nothing new out there that is damaging in any way. So the very fact it's all recycled nonsense, garbage, waffle, and drivel tells me that's a fine, fine victory. Every visit of Janie 180 down to the police station yet again. And have you noticed these people don't get humor or irony? I think it was Lisa Payne said, oh, she's off with her filing cabinet to the police station again. Janie 180's response, oh, no, it's all on a telephone. I don't have a filing cabinet, duh. It's like, duh, duh. Lisa doesn't literally mean you're wheeling down a filing cabinet. It's just a phrase to express the multitude of garbage that's in your files. We do understand it's all on a device these days. Duh. Yeah, we got this sense of humor failure people on the other side. They've got no sense of irony. They've got no sense of context. They've got no sense of self-deprecating humor. It's all gone. All they've got is childish, giggly humor based on insults, based on we have more money than you. Where does that come from? Yeah, it's all baffling, but it's all signs of a humiliating, absolutely humiliating defeat. And in this video, I just wanted to say thank you to Team Smith and everyone connected with this community. Because if a channel removal happens, it is nothing, it is absolutely nothing that changes our victory. Now, ultimately, the victory is an investigation happens and the truth is revealed. That justice was never served. There's been a cover up. There have been people that have evaded justice and they will be brought to justice. That is the ultimate victory. But while we are on that route to doing whatever we can to get an investigation underway and doing whatever we can to bring to the public that this case still stinks, as we go on that journey, I can see that we've already had enormous victories that really small channels like this you'd never have predicted would have had. But we've had them, and it's a good, very good feeling. Happy Thanksgiving Day. Who knew July 22nd was Thanksgiving Day? Happy Thanksgiving Day to everyone. We've done a really good job. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. See you later.